Hi everybody, and apologies, it's been a couple of 3 weeks since we last did anything. Weather hasn't helped and other things going on, but our job of today, so we're going to actually be changing the interior covers, front and back, on the wife's car. Got some other jobs to do. I've got a subwoofer to fit. She likes the music, so we have a subwoofer to fit to keep her ears canals nice and clear. So we'll take you through that. We've had the covers made by Optimise, so we'll see what they're like and see what they're like to fit. So we'll be first jobs, remove the front and rear seats. I'll then look at running the wiring for the subwoofer, and I'll show you that, and then we can look at putting the new covers on here and see how that goes. As you know, to remove the front seats, it's a case of undoing the two brackets at the front, and they easily lift out. And on the rear seats you have a couple of screws possibly in the corners and a couple of screws at the back on the bottom on the inside, and they will easily pop out. So we'll get started and see how things go. So progressing forward, we're running the wires from the boot underneath the carpet, hence why it's easy to do this with the seats out, because these moulded carpets in the MPI aren't easy to get under. And then it's just a case of running it through to the stereo. I need to cut that wire to make a key switch connection for the subwoofer, so we'll do that next. That's the first job done. One speaker snugly fitted, doesn't look too bad, as they can be easily disconnected and removed if needed. All back together inside. Need a good hoover out and a clean. Wires all taped down and protected. So the next job are recovering the seats. Okay, we'll show you how to fit the new covers on here. First of all, we'll take the headrest off. As I say, you just got to twist these clockwise and it'll all knock and come out. Just to note, this is probably the hardest piece to do, ironically. As you can see, the hole in the bottom, these were fully seamed items then at the factory, then they're filled up with foam for this hole to fill them out, which makes it the challenge. You have to cut them all off, but we'll show you that in a bit. These here need to come off, and what you can do is just try and pull them off. Which this one's a lot tighter than the other. I have to just put my camera down, but they do pull off. Just one sec. So yeah, a couple of fingers on either side and they just clip off. Now you just have to note this because they go in the one side to work the spring against this to work the headrest latch. So that's that bit. Turn it over. Along here you have a plastic clip. Comes off like so. And then in here, these little clips here, and they're just like rubber bands, one on each side. Just unclip those. Stand it back up. You should be able to just pull the front edge through, like so. And then just peel upwards as we get towards halfway. In the back, you see this plastic clip, you just have to clip that through. Like so. Pull up a bit more, and you see in the back here is your other end of that elastic band. Clip them. Move it from the tilt switch, and off she comes. You need to keep the rubber band that goes down the new piece, and the same for the one on the other side as well. They just slide out. Two of those. That's the top half removed. Of course, depending on how good your foam is, depend if anything needs to be done. They're not too bad. We'll get the hoover on that and just give it a hoover off. So we have the new cover, say from Optimise, just unzip it, and we just need to fold this inside out. If you follow the instructions on the Optimise site, it does say you can use a plastic bag to help get the cover over the top here, but we haven't found a need for that. So there is instructions on the Optimise site that I'll put a link in below to that. Turn the inside out. We have our elastic bands. And just feed them up there. I can get it in. That's one. And I recommend just hooking that on the bottom there. And it'll make it easier to get to when you come to hook it from the bottom. Same for the other. Get it through. Nearly there. There we have it. Again, just hook it over the end just to make it easier. So make sure you got the front to the front. And place it over. Oh, sorry about that, I had a bit of a technical issue with the camera. I'll go back over again. I don't remove the old cover. You have a couple of springs inside that you unhook off the back, run through a couple of sleeves, as seen here. Take them out, and you have this goes through the back bolster. Unhook that up and just peel it off from the bottom upwards. So we remove those and they'll clip back on. Now it's just a reverse process putting it back on, and then pull it tight, hook your springs back on as you come down, and then pull it tight to put your zip along the bottom. And that's the back complete. Put them back on. Just have to line the tang up on one side. And just pop back on. Same on the other side. And that's them back on. Now for the bottom, undo this clip here, remove the seat catch pull, how long is it? And then there's some, again, clips on the bottom, just plastic clips. Let's go into clip into these things. Just pull off, like so. Just take this plastic piece there off.
which is a bit of a nuisance because it's clipped on the inside. I'll have to put the camera down to do that. And once all that's off, the seat itself will come off. We'll pick that back up again in a moment. Okay, so the bottom piece is off, and so I think taking that off first would make it easier to put this back on, but I'm just awkward. I'm just going to take these clips off here because they're not needed. You can utilise them for putting back on. That's it. The other thing we have to do on here is, once the camera decides what it's doing, it's got the slot for the seat tilt. We'll do that in a minute. On this one, we just need to peel this back off here. What it'll do is uncover a number of places where it's looped. I'll show you that in a second. Right, so once you turn it inside out, you'll be able to see down here these ringlet things, which just need a pair of good cutters. Doesn't it cut them off? There's what, 3 down this side, a couple across the middle, 3 down the other side. So we'll go through and chop them off. And I'll leave us the sponge. So we've got the cover off the seat. Let's put the new one on. I have to turn this inside out first. You see, we then have, and you need a kit to do these. You then have a number of these things which hook underneath the wire and run along the seat, which you then have to bend up clamp onto these plastic ribs. The best way I've found is to first pre-bend these slightly so the gap's closer together. It just saves a lot of hassle further down the line. Then what I do is take the sharp end, find out where it wants, and I hook it through here first and then round the metal bar on the seat. This seems to be the easy solution after a lot of trial and error in being able to get in the position and to clamp it up. So just push that through the point of where you want it in the material on the back of the plastic bead, and then offer it to where you want to put it. For example, through here, hook it through. There is a special pliers to do this, and if you're going to do it, it may be easy to get one of those. Or I've just been using a pair of pipe pliers to then crimp them together. So we'll have a go at that. So, as you can see, I've done across the middle and the 2 outer ones. If you can see that, just the clips are hooked around the wire and bent over. Just want to make sure that there's nothing sharp pointing up towards your upholstery. So I'll finish the rest off and then show you once it's folded back over onto the sponge. Okay, that's the cover on. So once you clip the wires over, case of folding it back over. Of course, depending on what your sponge is like, it'll depend if you need new sponge or not. So a case of putting it back on there, pulling it tight over, using the kit clips to hold them to the frame, and the C clips that go around the back to hold what goes around the frame at the back to hold it tight at the back. So now fitted in, all the clips along the edges and the C clips at the back to hold it taut. I'll actually re-clip that one. Just reposition that one. It wasn't quite right. And that looks good. So I'm no expert in upholstery, but they're a pretty good job. Next thing to do is to cut the hole for here. What he uses the centre part where the lift slides up, just slice it down there, just enough then to be able to fold it over. And there you can see, just fold it over and tucked underneath. You think a professional would have done it. So you can steam them to get the some of the wrinkles out, but I'm sure it'll cook at some point in the sun. That'll do it itself. But all looks good. Just need to do the headrest, which we'll show next.
Okay, now onto the headrests. You will need some gloves of some sort, a good sharp knife like a Stanley, and probably a pair of scissors, a good pair of sharp scissors. And this process entails having to cut the old vinyl off the headrest itself. But what you don't want to do is damage the foam inside the headrest too much either. So being careful while you're trying to do this. So as seen here, just cut along, we found along the piping edge as carefully as possible into through the vinyl. Now you may not want to do it on your sofa like my wife's doing here, and also trying to take care not to stab yourself as well, as this may scare a few people watching this. So just a case of cutting the vinyls, stabbing yourself. And then once he manages to do that, it should just peel back. It's just a case of getting as much off as possible. And so even though the foam itself is pretty sticky, hence the gloves, the vinyl doesn't seem to stick to it. So once you got it peeled back, just continue to cut it off. And once all the vinyl's off, you then need to take some scissors or a sharp knife and then cut off the piping itself, which is seems stuck to the phone a lot more, so you just have to work at that one a bit. And you'll see that in the upcoming clip that I've sped up a bit to save a bit of time. And so you don't want to damage your foam because this is what we're putting over, hence the foam is what's going to give it shape and everything, so you want to be as careful as possible with your foam not to damage it. So we'll leave the wife cutting this off and the piping itself, and we'll come back to it once she achieves the finished result. Now once you've got everything safely removed, all the edging and piping and everything else, it's a case of trying to fit the cover over. The way we're told to do this is we need to be able to seal it up by using a bag over the headrest itself. So just taking some duct tape here and then just for be prepared, obtaining some sort of carrier bag, plastic bag. If you put your headrest into it, and then you need to seal it up. And this is what we use the duct tape for. There could be better ways to do this, easier ways. this is the best way we found. So just seal it down the one end, leaving one side open. Then what you do then, you'll need a good hoover of some type now that you've sealed it. Place it inside, or inside your opening that you've left. And then turn your hoover on, and it should, if you sealed it right, suck the air out of the headrest and the foam. So you do have to get it right, but once you'll see it starting to collapse, so it's not the clearest on here. So once you've got it to that point, you can then try and get the cover over. It is a bit of a two-man job. It's still a good fit even with the air sucked out of it. So a bit of a poking and prodding. You should be able to squeeze the cover in, or cover over the headrest. And once you've got it on, you can disconnect your hoover and then just either cut the ends of the bag off or whatever, but as in here we tucked it in, and then just manipulating the headrest to fit correctly. And that's the cover fitted over. And what we did was, you can just trim it to make the gap close up on the cover, but we took a bit of strong needle and thread and some Swiss scissors, and the wife then put some stitches in there to seal or to join the two ends together. And that's it. Once that's all stitched up, it all fits nice and tidy, and that's one headrest done. And just repeat the process for the second one.
So now we've done the seats, we have the backs to do. And these got some plastic clips on them, so we'll take it off first, cut those rings off there, then see how the new one fits on.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't get a chance to record doing the back or the base for the rear seats. But you see the back, it went on quite easily, just a case of, again, folding it over, clipping it on at the top, and then I use the rings to join it. For the base, it was even easier. It's just a case of this was stapled on, peeling the staples off, putting the new cover on, and just restapling it. It was a 10-minute job. And that's the end result. Seats are refitted. And so these covers were supplied by Optimise. There are others out there that can do the same job as well, but we was happy with the results. These are all purchased for our own money, but they look good. We also dyed the steering wheel black as well, because that also had the beige centres on it. But we'll see how that lasts, and if not, we'll get it covered. But hopefully this may help somebody in reupholstering their seats. So good luck, and speak to you soon. Thank you.